Tina Arena.
There. Hey.
Well, how about that? How about that film? I've been campaigning all day to change the title to Unravel Us. Because I don't know about you guys, but I bawled my eyes out. I saw it 2 screenings ago at 12 o'clock today for the first time at the Ritz Cinema. I deliberately didn't want to watch it on my computer. I wanted to watch it on the big screen with an audience, and we're all a mess. But that was the point, you know, this documentary, this film. Captures a huge life, a huge public life and personal life. And what I love most about it, apart from the fact it is brilliantly produced and directed, is the fact that we go deeper than we think we're going to go with this film. A lot of documentaries about musicians, and I watch a lot of docos, you find out the information you already knew, but this was something else. And Tina, how does it feel for you to know it's out there and to have put it all together and to voice over your own story like that?
Look, I've had a couple of really surreal weeks where I kind of don't have a fucking clue what's going on. I really don't. It's my first or my second little foray into film. I was lucky enough to participate in a beautiful little film in 2017, and I really loved that experience. Again, because I wasn't familiar with it, but I was so open to learning and so open to, I don't know, making mistakes. But it was a journey that had to happen. And I had massive concern about how my story was going to be portrayed. In a world where everybody feels, look, we're all holding phones and stuff. And so I didn't grow up in that world. I grew up in a really private, in a really beautiful and protected world. So I was very scared, but I also knew that it was really important for me to tell my story through my eyes. I was just very fortunate to collaborate with people that were really cognitively aware of that and what I had been through. And I said, I really am not interested in having a documentary made about me if it's going to be like every other one that I see, because I don't see the point in it. If you can't dig through some layers and see the polish and see the shit and the hardship, I don't see the point of the exercise. So I was just lucky to choose people that I liked and that I was prepared to go on the journey with, and that were going to be, that they were going to take that into consideration, because I haven't had a normal life. And having a public life as a little girl is really difficult because you can't intellectualize anything. So it wasn't until I started making some big mistakes when I was growing up as an adult. And they're not mistakes, they're just passages of life, right? I thought they were mistakes, so I felt that it was important for me to tell the Australian public what it is, because I don't lie. I can't lie. I leave that to people who do a better job than I do. I just can't bullshit. I've never been able to do it.
What I loved about the film from the very beginning, when we see you at the christening, when we see you take the microphone at that Italian event where you sang, and there is a moment, a flicker in your eyes as a child where you get a sense that you know the power that you might have trapped within you that you want to release through song. And then watching Melbourne in the 70s, and that beautiful building where you did so much of your young talent time rehearsing, that is at the end of my brother's street and one street away from where my mother lives. There is such a deep woven history for so many people from Melbourne and Australia that watched you every Saturday night on Young Talent Time. And I must say, and I've said this before today to you, Tina, I mean, Johnny Young must have been such a great guy, because when he died, all of the cast went publicly and it was just one great post after another, no bullshit, like heartfelt appreciation for the human that he was and how he lit all of your capacities to be seen by the Australian public and loved so much. I don't know whether I'm cynical or whether I've been listening to the news too much. I was just so relieved he wasn't a pedophile. This guy was a great guy.
Touche.
Is it true?
No, he wasn't. He was a very, very decent man, and he was a father and a grandfather and a husband, and he was my biggest mentor. He taught me things as a little girl and said things to me that have never left me. He was one of the first that taught me about surrounding yourself with the right people, and I listened, and then I got distracted as I got older and I forgot what he said. And I made some pretty big mistakes. But that's all part of the journey. But what I loved about him was his integrity, just as a man and as a human. And he gave us the opportunity to be ourselves. And he was the first in implementing diversity. Everybody talks about diversity, right? Okay.
Oh, do they? They've only just started talking about it. There were plenty of decades when we were in the industry.
Anyway, everybody talks about diversity and cancelling and all that, and I'm like, fucking knock yourselves out. But he gave everybody an opportunity, and it didn't matter what culture you were from. You could have been Japanese, Chinese, Italian, Dutch, German. All these kids that went through that school of YTT had a European past and a lineage, which was really beautiful, and he celebrated that as a Dutchman. And made me a bit sad that people sort of looked at him as a little bit daggy and like he was kind of a little discarded, and I always made sure that I paid tribute to him.
Well, that's beautiful, because Danny Minogue did it at the Logies last week. Mm-hmm. And you girls and all of the performers from that show never were embarrassed or tried to bury what that was in terms of the pilot light for a long career. You see actors that have been on shows like whether it's Home and Away or Neighbours years later want to bury that's where they got their start.
It's like, why would you want to bury something that enabled you to have a really beautiful or interesting life? Why on earth would I criticise Young Talent Time when, if it wasn't for John, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you in a theatre full of people who've just watched a film about me? It's like, that's a celebration, and I dedicate that film to him because he made it possible for me.
Oh my God, there's been so much crying in the last couple of hours. But that is further proof of how brilliant he was, because he created a culture people didn't want to rebel against. And there is something to be said for that. But I remember that the final performance that you gave, the one that is captured so brilliantly. By the way, were you using Effie's hairdresser during that period? Just asking for a friend.
No,
It wasn't quite the mullet, but
no, that's
and
when
it wasn't quite as boofy as Effie, but it was well and truly on its way.
that's when I had hair, as opposed to not now. It's thin.
But I felt like the whole country stopped to watch that performance, and I know I was watching it in my little suburban house, like gobsmacked, because we knew that song. Every adult knew that song, and it's incredible when you watch a singer interpret a song that you think can't be done better than the original. And you've done that every single time, where you just go there. And that's my definition of a star, is someone that is willing to go somewhere difficult, somewhere exposing, somewhere vulnerable, and to willingly take everyone with them. And you did that. Every time you open your mouth and you engage with those vocal cords, you know, I do liken it to like a spiritual pap smear. Like you just mixing every part of your soul through that. And you activate us.
I'm never going to see pap smears as soon as oh well, that's scary.
But you activate us. And I think if there has been one common denominator in all your, you know, all the elements of your journey, both when you peak and when you think you stumble, which you have not.
I have stumbled.
Yeah, we've all made bad choices, Tina. You're not
Stumbled a
alone.
lot.
You know, but your talent has always been consistent. It's always been your greatest gift, and your ability to actually open your heart out and spill it out like warm lava pouring out of your mouth every time you hold the microphone. And we are grateful to that, because so much of our history is attached to those times and those songs, and that is the greatest gift you have. But separate to that, thank you. To maintain a 50-year career, it's not just talent. What do you think is that other element that has helped you, you know, sit here 50 years later and have a film of that magnitude up there? What do you think that characteristic of yours that has equally rivaled your talent, what do you think that is?
There's a purity and there's a purity and a naivety that still is very much a part of who I am. And I kind of never want to lose that. I don't know if I suffer from the Peter Pan syndrome. I don't know, a lot of child stars, they say, what is it with child stars? They never age, or you do, but it's that genuine desire of wanting to federate people and actually really make people happy. You want to leave. Even if someone's really hurt me, I've never wanted to hurt them back. Like even in my anger, I happen to move through it. And I just believe in loving people through it. I've always believed that if you have enough love and light in your heart, that it will eventually penetrate. I've just remained true to who I am, and I realised that I was one of these performers that very much struggled in the system. The system didn't agree with me. I couldn't play those games. I hated the sexualisation of it. I hated being called stupid. Do you want to pick up your phone, Dad? You right? Okay, just checking. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought, sorry.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Here's what I know. Regardless of how the machinery that's been placed around
we're
you,
talking about systems here. I'm not very good with it.
In the music industry, they tend to sexualise more than, say, in my industry, which is, you know, you're sexual if the scene requires it. You might wear something nice on a red carpet, but not every time you go out to perform do you need to play the sexual card. You would hope that the talent would gazump the need to have to sell it through the sexual filter constantly. Yeah. But I think music is different, and I think that there seems to be, you know, less so now at times, but then other times more so. There needs to be, you know, a filter that is actually about running with who the artist is and what is their gift. Now, when you can sing like you do, you don't need to push the sexual card because you can actually sing. There are other maybe performers that aren't the singers that you are that might think, well, in order to get that attention, I can't get it through my voice. I need to do it through my image.
Right. So this is the issue. So people decide to buy into something because at the end of the day, a system will always choose to invest in something that they can ultimately manipulate. Now, manipulation is a hard word, but there's also, you can manipulate people very positively as well. It's not only the negative aspect of that word, but there's a constant stream of manipulation all the time, and you should be this and you should be that. And growing up in the music industry in Australia in the 1990s was like, I liken it to being in a town in the middle of nowhere with the local pub, and you go into that watering hole for a drink, and within 2 minutes of you being in that bar, tables and chairs and punches are flying. That's what it was like. And I'm sort of going, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I'm dodging tables and chairs and punches, and I'm thinking, whoa, I didn't come here to fight. I just came here to sing and exchange and do something. And I struggled with the fact that I had to play all these roles. It's like, okay, so that was back then. But then now, you know, 20, 30, 35 years later, it's changed, and we're able to be a little bit more independent. But I'm an independent artist, you know. I don't have anyone holding any trampoline or net to hold me in case something goes wrong. You're constantly in a state of free fall. So that's how I've learned to live, you know, but I'll never compromise what I think and feel and what my values are to suit a system or to suit somebody else, because it's not about them. And when I finally understood that, and understood it not with that whole selfish thing, you know, because everyone goes, oh, well, that's really selfish. No, it's not. When you're in the arts, if you don't protect yourself, you'll get mauled. They take chunks out of you. So I'm like, okay, I need to just protect myself here and just stay true to myself, and it'll never be perfect, and you know what? That's so fine.
Good on you.
The reality is, you don't go into the arts to jump on an assembly line. I mean, that's what our parents did as migrants when they had no other choice. They came to Australia with no money, no skills, no language, no support system, and they had to go on assembly line. And because of their, you know, immense bravery and commitment to building a life, a home, you know, some assets, we were given the privilege to entertain the idea that possibly the arts were a place where we could go. And we went into the arts for the opposite reason. We didn't want to be part of an assembly line. That's not what art is. Art is when it catches you by surprise. Art is when you think you're watching a documentary about a singer and then suddenly you're bawling your eyes out and you know, you need... That's what art is. Art is full of surprises. So it becomes something that it shouldn't be when it becomes cookie cutter like, and this is a recipe and we're all going to follow that. Well, we don't look like the typical ingredients, so we've had to make typical, non-typical choices.
You know, let's be really honest. I wasn't exactly chosen for my looks, right? So I wasn't exactly the sort of, yeah, I know you all going, yeah, right. You look at me now. You know, there's one thing we need to be grateful to Kim Kardashian for. Just one.
Big asses.
Well, then I don't qualify, unfortunately, but bringing the dark, that brooding, dark sort of sensual, that dark European woman into focus. She wasn't cool when I was growing up, so I felt very ostracised, and I had terrible insecurities about the way I looked. So when I started my career, you always saw me in suits, right? And people are like, why? So, well, because it's not about my body, it's about what I say or what I sing. So I didn't allow people to look at my body. And that was I'll wear what I want to wear. You will not fantasize. I don't want you to sexually fantasize over me. I just like you to listen. And if you think I'm cute, great, whatever, right? But I didn't have that. I wasn't the greatest looking girl on the block. And I grew up an ethnic on television in the 1970s. I was bullied to an inch of my life. I used to have people waiting for me outside the school so they could bash me up.
Oh no.
And I'd be like, wow, wow, they want to bash me up. What have I done, right? Anyway, it was a different time. We don't have that anymore. We've all evolved much more. But it was those moments where I wasn't rude back to the girls, where I would say hello to them, because my parents always said, treat people the way in which you want to be treated. I was raised by two of the most exquisite humans that I'm still privileged are with us today. She's 91. And Pepino's 94. And they're just a beautiful couple who came to Australia because they knew that they had the opportunity of giving us girls a life that they never had after the Second World War. And all we ever wanted to do was make them proud.
And you did.
And they integrated. They spent time. I watched my family. I grew up in a court with all these different nationalities. There were Germans and there were Maltese. And Mrs. Kokinas next door was Greek and beautiful. And then there was the Solas that were half Croatian, half Italian with 4 kids. And the Kennys up the road that were wonderful teachers at the grammar school. It was such a beautiful court of such diversity. And I remember growing up, and we weren't sitting there divided. We weren't sitting there going, what are you doing here? We weren't sitting there, nobody was sitting there knowing all their rules and stuff. Well, we can do this and we can do that. And nobody was calculating how to make money out of the government. Everyone was working. Working honestly and humbly. They weren't sitting there thinking to themselves, calculating, going, if I do this, I do that, then I can get that, da-da-da. There was all this calculation. There's nowhere you can go today without choking on calculation. I'm over it. So that is why I will always speak the truth, and I have always had an open heart for anybody. I don't care where you come from. I don't care. And there's another thing too, Mary. When I moved to France, remember, I didn't speak French. I learnt French at school. It was basic. But I had a desire to integrate into a culture that's so rich and that gave me an opportunity to live and learn. I understand what it's like to be a migrant. I know what it's like to go up to a cashier and try and change some money and have a person look at me and go back to your own country. And I'm speaking to that person and communicating with him in French, and he's talking to me in English, thinking he's really smart. I thought, wow, now I know what my parents went through. That hit me really hard. But I didn't deal with it the way that he dealt with me. I said to him, I'm really disappointed, sir, that you're speaking to me like this. I said, it's really disheartening, actually. He said, just go back to where you come from. I said, I'm here, I belong here. And I walked away. So I know what that's like. So unless I'm sorry, this is ridiculous, I never thought I'd... Basically, in short, what I'm trying to say is that I will never buy into that dividedness that is being expelled everywhere today, where you're either right, left, black or white. No. Life isn't right, left. Life isn't black or white. Life is filled with beautiful nuances, and it's in those nuances that we find each other. I feel so privileged to have spent the last 20 odd years where I opened my house to everybody. I didn't care whether you were Jewish, I didn't care whether you were Muslim, I didn't care if you were Catholic, I didn't care if you were Church of England or if you're an atheist. There's always room for you at my table. That's the way I was raised. And I try so hard through what I do to just propel that message, because I realised that the power is with us. That's what I realised. I believe there's power in music. I believe there's power in the collective, and I believe there's great power in storytelling and showing heartache and vulnerability, turning it around and learning from it, but those things not allowing, you don't allow them to dictate your journey. They're just all part of the human construction. And all those beautifully difficult moments are all moments that I needed in order to construct the woman that I am at almost 59 years of age. A woman I finally learned to love and respect. I respect myself. And I'm also, just to finish, I'm so overwhelmed by the response. It's the reason why I can't stop my tears, because I've had to keep so much inside, and I've been silenced, and I've seen and felt things, but you will not silence me anymore. Please don't put these photos of me looking silly on social, because I do. Please don't.
But teens, I see throughout your journey, and we touched on this earlier, that there is one group, and it is diverse, but it has one thing in common, that's always been there for you, certainly through periods where you weren't fashionable, and that is your gay fans.
I've always been fashionable.
People that know me and Tina, I've always said that she's a gay man in a woman's body. Your gay friends were there for you. I saw you at the Mardi Gras a million years ago. They were there dancing, screaming. When you were not in vogue, they had you on their biggest stage, performing there in S&M gear, doing I Want Your Body. And even though they didn't want your female body, they wanted you.
I was so fine with that.
Yeah. They wanted you, and they are great taste makers. They can see trends before anyone, and they love a diva. And they love your vulnerability, and they love your big lips, and your V8 voice. And they are here today, and they are in every audience. So, I just want to give a shout out to the gay fans, because they were at my show last night, and then I'm seeing my same fans that were there for me last last night in Liverpool at the Powerhouse in the front row of Tina's today, giving chocolates and red roses like they gave me last night. And I thought, they often mistake us for being the same person. And I thought, are they confused right now because we're on the same stage at the same time?
Oh my God, the Greek diva, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. When you talk about a career, there's a lot of people involved in a career. A career never happens on its own. And I'm incredibly fortunate for the paths that I've crossed, the good ones, and even the bad paths that I've crossed, because I've learned a lot through those people. They taught me how to stand on my own 2 feet. Through that pain, through that lack of transparency, through the taking advantage of, spiritually, financially. I'm grateful to those people because I learned a lot through them. And those people know who they are. It's not about nominating them or giving them any oxygen. But an artist's path is a precarious one. It's not an easy one because the system creates this whole facade, right? And it's been happening for a long time. We see what Hollywood's done to a lot of those incredible stars that have walked through. We see it, regardless of where you come from in the world. So those people formed me, those people have helped me, and the choices I make in my career now and have in the last few years have been really much better and healthier choices for right reasons. You are the sum of what you choose to surround yourself with. So if you choose to surround yourself with shit and dishonesty, that is what you will get. But if you want, I expect the bar to be high. I expect that. Because I set my bar really high. And in setting the bar high, it's just because I want the truth. Because if you can't tell me the truth, I'm going to see it for myself. Because through many years of doing this job, one of the most extraordinary things that it has given me is discernment. Through having made a lot of bad decisions, I've managed to build a capacity to be really discerning, and when people are lying to me, I call them out on it. And it makes them really uncomfortable. And some friends I've lost, or people I thought were my friends, I've lost. And some I mourn, some I don't. But the only thing I could ever do is just be honest with them, because that's a real friend, someone who's prepared to tell you something you don't want to hear. And that's when I realised I've got great friends. And there's a lot of you in the audience today, my close friends that I've had for 30 years, guys. These are not fair-weathered friends. These are people that wipe your tears when you're howling. These are people that are with you when you're laughing. These are people that are with you when you're worth knowing, and even when you're not. I owe a lot of my recovery to my friends who are in the audience today, who've loved me through everything, and I hope that I've been a decent friend as well. And my family have been extraordinary. My family have kept me going, and they've kicked my ass and told me if something hasn't been right. They were strong enough and disciplined enough to do that, and that's how you learn. It's not by telling someone, see everything that we're going through today and so forth. It's so much for me. I find it overwhelming now, because there's something unnatural about that kind of adulation and celebration. So all I want to do is try and put it in perspective and have some sort of a healthy relationship with it without it being so overwhelming, because ultimately at the end of the day I'm a woman no different to anybody else. I go through good moments. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister. You know, I'm just trying to live life in the best way that I possibly can. So I'm grateful to my friends, I'm grateful to the media too that have been really unbelievably supportive of this film. Unbelievable. I had no idea what to expect. I thought I better not have any kind of expectations and just be prepared for anything. And I've been beautifully, beautifully surprised and overwhelmed. And the audience are the reason why I've been able to do what it is that I do, and I've been able to survive spiritually and have a roof over my head and have food on the table. It's given me that, and all of you have given me that. And you've watched me do some things musically, whether I'm in a theatre, whether I'm on TV, or whether I'm singing a song. Some like, some don't like. Even for those of you out there that don't like it, I'm okay with it. I'm so fine with it. Because everybody's entitled to feel something. All I just say is that if you don't like something, just be careful that you're just not mean about it, that's all. Because there are people's feelings. But you don't have to like it. And be comfortable in that. You know, I don't like people saying that they like it because they feel they have to. If you don't like it, say it, it's okay. There's always beautiful ways to say something. But I want to thank all of you for allowing me to have 50 years of doing what it is that I do. And
Well, thank you for giving us 50 years of incredible songs, and after watching this incredible journey of, you know, persistence and recovery and getting back on your feet and trying again and finding another way, and you've found yourself to 50 years, which is no small feat. There are very few people in the Australian entertainment industry that can say they've been at the level that you have. Not only in Australia, but internationally as well, 50 years down the track. So we love you.
Mary, if it's okay, there are some people that I really need to thank and take this opportunity whilst I'm here. I'd like to thank the Helium team who made this film possible. And that's starting by Mark Fennessy, Nicola Ann Kennett. I'd like to thank Mark Stribnicki and Becky Chapman from Helium Pictures. Thank you to all of you. The editors of this film, Karen DeSank and Jimmy Stewart, I don't know how the hell you did this film. I don't know how you put 50 years into an hour and a half. For me, conceptually, I don't understand it, but you have. A massive thank you to director Adrian Wells, and also to the beautiful Jess Carrera, the producer of this film. I spent a lot of time with the both of them. I've known Adrian for a number of years now, and they know a lot of things about me that a lot of other people don't know. But I thank you for being so unbelievably gracious to this journey, and the way in which it's been portrayed is absolutely beautiful. I'm grateful to the both of you. I'd like to thank Maslow Entertainment, Mark Woolridge, who is here, Alex Taylor, Gillian Heggie. I'd like to thank my publicist, Trent Titmarsh, I beg your pardon. Trent Titmarsh, who's I've been working with for a long time and who's been unbelievably gracious in dealing with the media these last 2 or 3 weeks, because it's been intense. I'd like to thank Angus Ross and all the team at Channel 7, all my friends at Screen Australia and Screen New South Wales. Without all of you combined, this documentary would never have been possible. It is a very, very intricate, complicated exercise and very expensive. I'd like to thank my family who aren't here. and my really, really close friends. I'd like to thank you, Mary. Love you. I'd like to thank my girlfriend Linda Gregorio, who's in the audience, my girlfriend Sarita Vila. These are girls that have been by my side for a very long time. I'd like to thank Loz McDougall. These girls keep me going, you know, when things are tough. So I'm grateful for all your friendships. And also there's a few others who are not here, but they all know who they are. I want to thank Georges Antoni, who took my photograph for the National Portraits Gallery. Georges, working with you was probably one of my greatest dreams. I'd never experienced doing a front cover of a fashion magazine or anything like that. Yet Georges captured me in a way I never ever thought imaginable, because he too has the purest heart and just went into that project with so much love and determination to come out with a portrait. So he didn't only come out with one, he came out with two. I want to thank Joe Sinclair, Mikey Ayubi, who helped style and did the creatives for the National Portraits Gallery, Victoria Barron, Darren Borthwick. Amazing team, amazing humans who are absolutely stunning at what they do. I'd like to thank Nicole Benithan, Oriton, for this really beautiful suit, Damien Rinaldi, Anthony Hewitt, my management, and Michael Parisi from Right Hand Management. I work with two of the coolest gentlemen you could possibly ever ask to work with, and I'm unbelievably grateful to them. A very big thank you to all of the media, those of you who are present here today, but also a big thank you to the media, the journalists and so forth who have written about this documentary so spectacularly. It is beyond anything that I would have ever imagined possible for me. So to all of you journalists, thank you so much for supporting this. Buggered if I really would love this film to make some noise internationally so we can show those people overseas how fucking good we are at what we do, and that we do it with our heart. So watch us, because we'll show you how it's done. Big thank you to Victoria Barron, Denise Wise for hair and makeup today. I look completely like I've been dragged through a spin cycle now. Now I walk into the Qantas, they'll look like, who's this friggin' blanket that's been
I want to thank everyone here. I know I singled out the gays, but the audiences are massive. And thank you to everyone who's turned up today to the 3 screenings that we've done today to support such an incredible Australian talent. This film, Unravel Me, is released in over 100 cinemas nationally. So please come and see it again. Bring your tissues, bring your friends.
Long live the independence.
That's right.
L'indépendance, voilà. Vive l'indépendance, as we say. Long live independent films.
And speaking of what else is coming up, we have Tina's brand new EP, which is being released on October the 16th. It is directed by Georges Antoni, our big crush, our talent crush, and it will be, and the song is a song that might be familiar to many of you, but it's Tina's own version of this brilliant song that's called Way of the World. So look out for that. You're going to get the privileged sneak peek right now, so please enjoy. Thank you for being here.
This is True Faith. This is the new song that's come out. So to all of you who have written beautiful comments online, whether it's on YouTube or whatever platform you have, I've read some comments and they've been gobsmacking, but I've stopped reading them only because I can't. I just don't have the bandwidth anymore, and I've got to look after a son and a dog and run a house and look after my elderly parents, which takes up a lot of time. But thank you for taking the time to write such exquisite messages of encouragement, Art is everything. The stories we tell are everything. They leave an impression. They leave an imprint. It's time for those beautiful stories to rise again. So this is the beginning of a very interesting EP that is coming out that has some really beautiful songs on it, and I hope that you enjoy them.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tina.
Merry Christmas.
Tina, thank you for supporting Shane.